Hello everyone, welcome to the Clarity Feature Supportability Training. My name is Bill Yee. And today we're going to cover the business rule improvements for 16.2.2. So what's new with the business rule improvements is now we allow you to configure on a master object or any parent object the ability to control, add, edit, or delete on within a business rule on its sub-object. So if I'm on, say, a project, I'm able to disable add, edit, deletion, say on a task, risk, issues, or changes. Or if I'm on a task, I'm able to disable editing, adding, or deletion, say on the assignment. The improvement is now on a sub-object when you're configuring conditions, you're now able to reference parent attributes in the condition of the business rule. Since some of the requirements we heard from other customers, they want to use information, say, from the parent object, particularly, say, the project, as part of the condition in the sub-object business rule. We also enable the ability with enhanced business rules to now support rich text and long strings for specific actions. So now you're able, for rich text and long strings, to disable editing for those particular attributes or actually hide those particular attributes on the properties page. We've also changed and updated the mouse over indicators on attributes that are set to read only via business rules. So we'll show you that as part of the demo. Since right now there's a read-only treatment where you didn't necessarily know it was just made read-only because from Studio, or now you're able to the end user now know if it's been read-only via a business rule. But last but not least, now we enhance the notification. Previously, a notification only went out when the conditions are triggered from, let's say, the UI, or actually set based on changes of the attribute in the UI. But if I change if I set that attribute via a business rule or via, let's say, an action item, do an approve or reject, the notification didn't get sent out. So we enhance the notification as that you can actually send the notification out either if it's changed via the UI or if the conditions are triggered via changes of the attribute via a business rule. So why is this important? So customers have asked us they want to have at different stages, different parts of the kind of investment life cycle, they want to be able to disable ability to do creation, editing, and deletion, and they want that based on the condition. So and not always, but on certain conditions. So they wanted that enhancement to business rules, and this was actually voted up from many customers. And they want a solution that didn't require them to add and remove rights, say for an instance, because trying to do that and manage that in an enterprise system would not be easy. So they wanted this ability to be handled via the business rule based on the condition of, let's say, either the project they're working on or even a custom investment type. So let me give you a demonstration of the new business rule enhancements so you can see them in action. So I'm going to give a demonstration of the new business rule enhancements for 16.2.2. And the first one I'm going to demonstrate is the ability on a parent object rule to impact operations on the child object. So if I go into a blueprint, and here's a project blueprint, let's go ahead and create a new rule so I can show you some of the changes on the administration side. So I'll create a new rule and we'll call this one disable add, edit, and delete on a project sub-object. So based on the target object, if that target object has sub-objects, and project does, What you do, if you click on actions, you'll get additional actions called now for disable adding of child objects, disable editing of child objects, and disable deletion of child objects. So if you choose any of these three, it will actually prevent adding, editing, deletion for that entire sub-object. So if I'm on project A, it'll disable or editing or deletion for a particular sub-object for project A. Now, there are situations where a target object could be a child and also to a parent. And one of those examples is task. So you'll see the same number of actions here: disable add child, disable editing child, and disable delete child. So you'll get that depending if that target object has sub-objects. Now there are things to note is that you'll only be able to do the disabling of a sub-object if that sub-object is listed as a target object here. So one example here, you don't see staff here, so you will not be able to do any disabling, or editing, or deletion, or adding for this staff sub-object. But so it has to be, that sub-object needs to be selectable within the target object. So let's go ahead and create the rule. We'll do it on the project, and when the project work status is equal to completed, I want to disable adding there on risk. Also too, I want to disable deletion of the status report, and I want to disable editing on tasks. So I have a disable adding, disable deletion, disable editing on different child sub-objects. So we do a create and do a publish, and let's see how this works on a project. So let's go to project. Let's go to the Able Payments module. So right now the work status is requested. So if I test the first one out, say risk, I'm able to do an adding. I'll see the plus button here. Now if I come in here and change this to complete and then click on risk, you see the plus sign is now disabled, and you don't see inside the risk, so there won't be prevent any additional adding on the risk sub-object. We also had a rule related to the status where it prevents the deletion of a status report. So if you come in here and do a right mouse click, the delete row is prevented, and if I come in here and select the bulk editor deletion, is disabled there as well. Now within tasks, let's go to the grid first. It here is disable editing. So if you look at collected database development, we in the flyout is disabled, and also too not able to change things within the grid. Also in different layouts, so say if you go inside, say the board, and you want to do, say, right mouse click, it disables moving or the dragging of particular items to different columns. Same as goes with the timeline performance testing. It's grayed out on the flyout as well. Also too, we also have a new tooltip that lets you know if it's locked by a business rule. So it shows that actually shows up as well. This is a new enhancement that we to highlight. So these areas will be show that now it's locked by a business rule and highlighted. And this is available in the flyout and on the properties. One thing to note with disable editing and adding it's and deletion, there's some limitations within the task timeline. So for example, we don't disable the action because there's some interdependencies related to that one, and also to some areas around the right mouse click. So refer to your documentation on some of more details related to those limitations within the task timeline. We also disable it, like say in the global task workspace. So if I come in here, so we have some tasks related to the Able Payments module here, and you'll see it's gray out here. So that's a demonstration of the ability on a parent parent object to control operations on a sub-object. So the next item is that now if I create a rule on say a sub-object, in the condition for that business rule, now it can reference parent attributes in the condition. So let's go ahead back into blueprints. Let's go to that same blueprint we had before. And let's create another rule. And for this rule, I'm going to make it, let's see, issue rule with a parent attribute condition. So let's make the target object issue. Spread it to a sub-object. Let's first let's create a condition here. Let's check the status of the issue if it's closed. So let's search on status. Now, one thing to note when you're searching here, you see not only attributes from the issue, but also its parent, which is project. So here, I'm able to choose status when it's closed, and now I want to check, for issues where, let's say, the project, let's say, is a project type, is a major project. So the condition is if the status is closed and the project type is major project, and that attribute's on the parent object, I want to disable the deletion of the target object, which is here issue. So let's see, let's go ahead and go create. Let's publish. Let's go back on that project. Let's check that same instance here, able payments module, since it's already set to complete it. Let's go to the issue. Let's go to the grid so it'll be a little easier. So we have two items that are actually closed. So if I go in here, deletion is disabled here, deletion is disabled here, but you see the ones that are not closed, you're able to delete. So here we have conditions that it kind of showed where attributes on the object itself, say issue, but also two based on the parent object on it as well. So if I came back here and changed this to, let's say, small project, now those rules will not be applicable anymore now. So if I came in here, I will be able to delete it, for example. So that's the change we have related to sub-object rules, to be able to reference attributes from its parent. So another item that we got requested from customers is that we want the ability to have rich text attributes and in addition long strings as part of rules, business rules. So let's go in here, and I'm going to show this one here within a value stream custom investment type. And I've pre-created these particular rules already. I'm going to put it in edit mode. Go in edit mode and go to the rules. So what we allowed you to do now is to, for view page rule types, for rich text and long strings, these two are long rich text, but could also be areas of long string, is to be able to disable editing for these attributes, and also use the action of hide attributes, which is specific to the properties. They'll hide that particular attribute on the properties. So here I have lean business case, which is a rich text field, and customer journey, which is a rich text field on the value stream custom investment type. So I'm going to come in here. I'm just go ahead discard edit because it was already published and enabled. And let's go to that CIT value stream. Now this one is where work status is completed. So let's come in here into, let's go into business bank engagement. So right now we have the work status completed. It made this read only, and also too, it hid the customer journey. So if I come back in here and change it to work status, it'll go ahead and bring back customer journey and then make this editable. And let's go back and change it quick again back to complete it. You'll now make this read only. You see the lock by business rule and hide it. And also too, I added another enhancements we did with the when we get the tooltip to see it. We also here, this is a item that's actually locked from a process. So when we did a tooltip, it just said locked over the lock icon, but now we actually made locked by process. So it gives us some more context. One is locked, say, from a process. You'll also know that it's, you'll see the lock icon. In this one, you just do the hover, and you'll see this available, on any read-only attributes, not just rich text or long strings. So that's a demonstration of the enhancements related to rich text and business rules. So the last item I want to cover is the notifications and support for business rules. So let's go back to administration. So let's go to notifications. So here, if I go into, I created a notification on an idea, and here it is on the idea object. Here's the subject in terms of when you get as part of the notification, and here's you have in the message. It's a notification that's going to be sent out, and based on the action item, if the action item is approved or rejected, it'll send a notification out here. So if you look at it here, based on the status, if it's approved or rejected, it's going to send this notification. Now this has been in the product already, but one of the limitations related to the notifications, this is when you actually change it within the UI. If we made an enhancement within the action items is that if I go ahead and say approve for the action item, I will go ahead and set, say, the status attribute to approve. This notification wouldn't go out. But in this release, that's what the enhancement is that if the attribute change happens via a business rule, it'll still trigger this notification. So here, for example, it will send, if it's either rejected or approved, will send the notification to the resource manager on to the notification. So the way I have as part of this demo is that the notification will go out if the idea is approved or rejected to let the manager know. And I've also set up a action item. And in this action item is an idea approval action item. So it goes ahead and sends an action item to, here's the information, gives some information related to the idea. Now this action item goes to the sponsor because he or she will be approving or rejecting this particular idea, and the actions are approve or reject. So what happens if the action is approved? What it'll do is set the status attribute to approved. And what happened before, when it was set, now we could send, if it's approved or rejected, it will send that notification. That's the enhancement. Then also to is reject it. It will set the status to reject it and then send the notification so the manager on the idea will know. So those are at least the setup changes for the action item. Now we're going to go ahead and let's say, for example, let's create a business rule related to that action item. So let's go to the notifications. So I had here on the idea. Let's go to rules. Let's go into edit mode so you can actually see it a little bit better. I created one for approve and reject action items. So what it'll do is that when the status is submitted for approval, then it'll send that idea approval action item that I just showed you out. So that will send it to the sponsor. The sponsor will then go approve or reject, and then we'll set the status report. The the status attribute, either approve or reject, and then it will send an action item out. So that's the flow. I guess the key item now is that now business rules that can now trigger that notification if it updates that attribute. So let's go ahead and discard edits because you're having this one. So let's see this particular item, how it works on the end user side. So here I have an idea called the Able Payments Digital Experience. And let's go into here the detail. So the manager is Paul Martin, and the sponsor is Shell Amos. So the flow here, once the status here is set to submit for approval, it will send an action item to Shell Amos to do approve or reject it. And depending on what she picks, say if it's approved, I'm going to go this route, is it will send a notification to Paul Martin. So let's trigger the action item from the business rules. So submit it for approval. So this will be an action item will then go to Shell Amos. So let's log in as Shell Amos. Log in. She gets an action item, and then within here it tells them, okay, Ian Arple, where I had before, you want to approve or reject this particular idea on Able Digital Payment Experience. So Shell Amos will approve it. So then that goes in, and then here this will send a notification to Paul Martin, who is the manager on the idea. So let's log in as Paul Martin. So, and this is the enhancement now that we did for this release. Now they'll come in, and now Paul Martin here gets an from the action item approval, gets a notification that his idea has been approved, and they can go ahead and they can kind of move forward with as part of it. So now notifications will get triggered not only by changes within the UI, but also too with changes via the business rule with setting attributes there. And this concludes my demonstration of the new business rule enhancements for 16.2.2.